welcome back to Lost in Theaters.
Hi.
Lost in Theaters, the podcast where we discuss movies that have fallen through the cracks of pop culture.
Crevices.
Yeah, movies that you probably haven't heard about before and are interested, well, you wouldn't be interested in them because you've never heard of them, and now you'll know if you'll be interested or not. Ta-da!
Hooray!
Yes, this week we are going back to not
Sorry, I'm
not
slightly
an
distracted
old
by
movie.
your half bloodshot eye.
I have a half bloodshot eye. I don't know why. Did I poke it or something?
Okay, I'm good now. I just have to say that out loud.
Okay. Well.
I don't know if you're okay, but...
Oh, I think I'm okay.
Okay.
It's not affecting me anyway. Any
Okay,
guesses today about what the
Hamsters in space.
movie is? Hamsters in space.
Okay, is it space again?
No.
Okay.
We're coming back to Earth.
Okay, so it's not... Is it fiction?
Yes.
Okay, it's fiction. The pale green pants with nobody inside.
No, Ruth. I'm going to tell you what it is. Allan Quartermain and the Lost City of Gold.
I don't know why. I'm slightly disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Well, we'll get right into it. Let's just go for it. Okay, so it came out in 1986. Okay. And I watched it on Amazon Prime, so you can too if you'd like. But we'll see. So this is actually a sequel.
What the heck?
To a movie that came out in 1985, the year before, called Allan Quartermain and the King Solomon's Mines.
Were you unable to find this?
Well, the other one is free. Well, this one was free, and the other one was not. You'd have to, buy it. I don't know why.
What?
It's very weird.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just, that's how it was. And it's okay because they actually do sort of stand alone, I think, as adventures.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll go first to the rating, and then we'll go to the zero spoilers.
There's a rating.
Well, we have to rate it, right? No, well, not like a rating 5 out of 10,
Oh,
but
your rating.
the children. Will the children watch it?
Oh, have you been rating things?
No,
In
not
our other ones?
not out of 10. Or do you mean for the people?
I have no idea what you mean by rating.
I mean, is it safe for children?
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you've briefly covered that.
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Well, here we are again. Okay, so, there's, two things to consider with this. So, on the one hand, it's about the impact of, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
What?
Of Indiana Jones.
The impact. So, the repercussions?
Yeah,
Like the aftermath?
I didn't know the word, Ruth. I was trying to say, it's in Raiders of the Lost Ark, spoilers for that one, it's, you've got those faces that melt.
Yeah.
And there's, gunfights.
Yeah.
And, it's about that sort of, shock value. I didn't watch...
So it's a ripoff of one of those? Or just, another... in that vein?
Yeah, it's in that vein. Okay. Yeah, we'll discuss that more in the future.
Oh.
But yeah, so that's about the quality of I didn't watch Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Potentially nightmare-inducing.
Yeah, but some kids it doesn't
yeah.
it doesn't. Yeah, some people watch it when they're 5 and they're like,
super
oh,
traumatizing.
But other people. I had a professor who told me that he thought that the faces actually melted off those actors. And he was like, what a commitment. He was, yeah.
Was he pulling your leg?
No, he lived like that for a few years.
Dang.
Yeah, his dad played along too. Said that they hired the people years in advance. So they would pay you an upfront sum of an obscene amount of money, and then you'd live it up for 2 years. And then you'd go get your face melted off in a movie. Isn't that a great idea?
That sounds terrible.
It's an awful idea.
What the heck?
Also think Swiss Family Robinson, too. That
Swiss Family Robinson?
Yeah. Actually, it was weird, because when I was watching this, I was like, oh, those do sort of have a similar, scary stuff happens in Swiss Family Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, that could have been alarming.
Similar, traps thing going on.
Yeah. Okay, so there's that. But here's the thing. On the one hand, that's fine. Some kids can do that. Some kids can't. On the other hand, the movie is set in colonial Africa, okay?
Oh, no.
And the movie was made in the 80s.
Oh, no.
and it's pretty racist.
Oh no.
But it isn't like what's the word? It's like
racist?
It's racist, and I'm trying to describe the kind of racism that it is. It's weird because it's like what white people thought Africa was like when colonial Africa was a thing.
Okay.
So
not like our modern racism.
Right,
so
and it's not like it's not like they're beating the slaves or anything, and they're like horribly oppressing them. It's like it's this sort of like assumption about like the native African people that's sort of just like culturally they're like, this is how it is. And I would caution probably, like, I don't know, it seems like an unhealthy thing for young minds to sort of be subliminally messaged about. Yeah, so if you're trying to form a healthy idea of what Africa's like, that's probably not the go-to movie.
No kidding.
But if you're older and have thought about these issues and can recognize them as issues, you would approach it differently. But again, we probably just shouldn't like promote movies that are obliquely racist. I don't know, Ruth. I don't know. So here's the thing, though. On the outset of the movie, this is the thing. If you're like craving Indiana Jones style things, you might think that there's only 4 Indiana Jones movies and the 4th one doesn't count, right? I mean, it sort of counts. I haven't even seen the 4th one. I can't really speak to it, but I just feel like it doesn't count because it's like there are 4 Indiana Jones movies.
Confession, I don't know which one I watched.
Oh, really? What happened in it?
I don't know.
Oh.
There was airplane.
But you get the vibe, right? Like, Adventure Man goes and does things.
We played the Lego Indiana Jones games.
Endlessly. And they're great. And the thing is, this movie really does fit into that, like, category where it's, like, the swashbuckling lead guy. So if you're, like, craving movies like that, this might be something that you would watch, because you were like, I just want to see an adventure movie, but be aware of the racism and don't propagate it.
I mean, Indiana Jones is pretty bad about, like, I don't know, women things.
It doesn't take place in Africa in the same way. This one takes place in, like, West Africa, and it's, I mean, yeah, Indiana Jones maybe. I haven't watched it recently.
Just, like, how women are people.
Oh,
super
women
messed
are
up.
people, too. Yeah, I mean, this one fits there and has similar problems.
Yay.
Yeah, so that's good to know. We were talking about Indiana Jones. So if you're like looking for a movie like that, this would work. But I would also now we're in sort of the zero information section about the plot. I'm gonna have to give you some information just for, just so you know, because this is just really important. What? The movie isn't divided into like the first 2/3 and the last third. And the first 2/3 they work as like a storyline that you like follow, and you're like, it's kind of actually a little bit like D&D, and where it's like, and then they do this thing, and then you go and do this thing, and then it's like they're doing this sort of thing, and they're like, and then the last third happens, and why everything happens in the last third is a little confusing.
Okay.
And I would personally say that the quality went downhill as far as, like, plot consolidation.
No kidding.
I mean, it does sort of tie together at the end. But I do understand why Indiana Jones was way more successful. Just, like, figuring out, just the, tying it all together. So just be, it's almost, it's more of a vibe than a thing. I will say, though, this is something that I thought was interesting, or just to think about, was, like, movies like this are harder to make these days, I would say.
Because of the racism?
No! Yes, Ruth, yes! But also, like, casual adventure, like, action movies. Usually when you think action movie, they're like major blockbusters with crazy explosions and like madhouse things. But like Indiana Jones and this movie, where Allan Quartermain and the Lost City of Gold.
Allan Quartermain.
It's so cumbersome. There's a character that calls him Quartermain the whole time.
Quartermain.
Yeah.
Huh.
I was just like, why? Oh, it's actually based on a book, I believe. So there's that. But anyways.
Ugh.
So these casual adventure movies, they just like, the genre is sort of dying out, I would say.
Yeah.
And so, and as well as,
I mean, the new Dora the Explorer doesn't count.
I would say it was too action-packed. I don't know. I think that it's like this sort of, I don't know, maybe it's because it was made in the 80s, there was like a necessary calmness.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't do it otherwise. That now just
doesn't exist.
The quality of films has gotten to a point that it doesn't. Yeah, it's harder to facilitate. Anyway, so that's the zero spoiler section.
Okay.
Well, small spoilers, I suppose. Yeah. Okay. And then we can move on to now a little more information about the film. It definitely follows a lot of tropes as far as, like, there's an adventure man in Africa, and he's going on a quest to find his lost brother in the jungle, with his fiancée and James Earl Jones.
Who?
He plays Darth Vader.
You're kidding.
Yeah, but this is, like, not Darth Vader. He's just normal in this one. He's got these wicked, wicked axe skills that come in clutch. You're like, yeah!
What?
Go James Earl Jones!
This sounds completely surreal.
I mean, no, he plays, like, this African warrior prince who helps Allan Quartermain go through the quest.
African warrior prince.
Yeah. So he's...
Is James Earl Jones
black? Yes, he is.
Wait.
What?
I'm thinking of a different actor then.
Rude. Anyways.
I'm so confused.
So he's in this. The other actors are fine. So the whole thing is, like, Allan Quartermain is this jungle adventurer dude, and his wife, or his fiance, is, like, trying to get him to be civilized at first, and they're like, I bought you a suit, and he's like,
Folly.
I don't want to wear a suit. Okay. And she's like, just try it on, and he's like, okay. So he tries it on, and he hates it, and then he has to, these people come and attack him, and he chases them down, and then he finds, yes?
What?
It's very complicated. They just show up, these people show up, and they're like, have a knife, and they're chasing one of his friends, and his friend comes, and he's bleeding and dying, and he's like, I'll help you, and so he has to chase the people who are chasing his friend, and he sees this knife, and it's like this beautifully carved knife.
She's making really interesting hand gestures to go along with this.
It's a beautifully carved knife, Ruth.
Yeah.
Anyways, and what happens is they take their friend in, but then the people come back and they murder him in the night. Oh.
Wait, who got murdered? The main character?
No, and I just realized we've entered the third section.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but this all happens in the first 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh! It's like a kind of soap opera.
Well, it's just to get the movie started. Yeah. Okay, so before we continue spoiling aggressively, do you have any questions that you think the average person would want to know about the movie to help them know if they want to watch this one?
Do you personally recommend this movie to anyone?
Not really. A very select group of people who I know are gonna think critically. You have to be able to, like, think critically about it, for starters. If you're interested in, like, cinema history, this would be really an interesting one to watch, for sure. But yeah, no. but like I said, it's an experience for sure, because it's definitely, like, Indiana Jones type rip-off sort of thing.
Is there any wildlife?
There is an ostrich. That one very clearly, like, there's like a headshot of an ostrich.
What? But they don't interact with any animals?
Oh, no. No. It's mostly people. Yeah. Oh, there's lions. There are lions.
I assume that'll come up.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It'll come up.
Like, live lions?
At points, yes. I think they had live lions. This was filmed in Zimbabwe, actually.
I don't know, that silence there was just, I don't know what you expected me to say.
You're like, oh, Zimbabwe! What a place! So, they mentioned they're in Zimbabwe? No.
No, they just call it Africa.
This is just a thing I learned. They had a Zimbabwe film unit in the credits.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they don't, like, state where they are in
Africa.
No,
they don't. Yeah.
Africa's
West
huge.
Africa. Well, they go into...
West? Oh, West Africa.
Because it's so small, West Africa. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Alright.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Any more probing questions on behalf of the audience?
Nah, not right now.
And now we'll properly enter stage 3. Sorry for that, getting ahead of myself there. It's just such a
slow down.
Convoluted.
I think we should go faster.
It's just a really intense beginning. And so this guy who died in this was spoilers.
What's his name again?
Not Quartermain.
Who died?
Okay, so
yeah, that's my question. Who died?
So it's Quartermain's friend who runs out of the jungle and then passes out and then later gets murdered in the night. That is graphic. It's not super graphic. It's like that scene in Star Wars Episode 4 where, you know,
I just shut my jaw.
You did. That was weird.
My mouth was just kind of hanging open.
That scene where Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru have been burned to death. Yeah. And there's these, like, scorched skeletons. And you're like, oh! When you finally see them. Because I didn't see them for years.
Aren't those edited out in one of the versions?
Wow, really?
One of the editions?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, in this one, there's like a choked man, and it's quite alarming. But it's like for 2 seconds, and then it's over. So just, yeah,
so,
anyways.
Scarred for life.
Children
only 2
again.
seconds.
Yeah, it's just 2 seconds of scarring. Anyways, so, yeah, so then he gets murdered in the night. But see, that guy, he was traveling with Quartermain's brother, who has been lost in Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he's like, he tells him all this information, he gasps it out. He's like, oh, something about your brother and some clues about some things, and he's like, what? And then he's not British.
I was gonna ask, are they British?
No, he's not. He's very American, but adventure, anyways, okay, he's not very American, he doesn't, like, wear a flag or anything. Anyways.
I think that's also a different thing.
So, he has these clues now, which means that he can't go with his girlfriend back to America for their wedding.
Fiancé.
Well, he can't go back for their wedding because he has to go get his brother in the jungle.
Yeah,
and there's
priorities.
This really bizarre scene where the girl is driving back with, like, one of their African friends or helpers. It's probably not a friend. It's probably one of their... I don't think they're slaves. Anyways, so they're driving back, and what happens? Oh yeah, so she's like talking like, he should have his priorities straight, and then she's like, but you know what, I should help him, and then she like nearly drives off a cliff, and she's like, what? Okay, you take the wheel, mister, and this is the weird part, okay? They're like driving back, and she just takes off her clothes, like her dress, she's got her underwear on, but she takes off her dress while in the back of the car to change, to get in her adventure clothes, and they're just driving down this road. It's just really, really weird. I was like, why? It was just very confusing.
Because it's not like there's any nudity.
No.
It's just...
And it was just really strange. Because now this other guy's driving. It was weird.
This isn't like the gratuitous nudity scene?
No, I don't think so. This is just... Well, maybe.
We're gonna just have someone change now because it's part of the plot?
Yes.
Okay.
It's weird. Turns out she's also an archaeologist. She identifies things like, the knife is Phoenician and Egyptian. What could it mean?
What?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's because, you know, like, if something's so old, it's from, like, before the cultures split. You know? Okay.
I mean, I know that's potentially a thing, but also isn't really how that works.
So Quartermain went and investigated the clues he was given. Okay. He went to go see a guy. They go off on their adventure. And so this is the part where it's like the adventure part is the most like, and here we go, the most kind of, not fun part, but like step-by-step D&D kind of thing. And you can get, it can be interesting. I should say as well, though, it's definitely like, this movie could not be made today because of the way that...
Spin a wheel, pick a reason.
Well, it was one of the main things that struck me at one scene. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is just like killing people left and right because they're like attacking his boat. These because he's in their territory or whatever, and he's just like shooting them all down, and he kills like an absurd amount of people. And then I realize that like if this was done today, it would require to be done well. It would require like people seeing how brutal this was, and this was like not okay, and people were dying. We have to be like The Mission. Have you seen The Mission?
No.
The Mission is like it takes place in South America, and there's like it's also alarming.
Okay.
But like it did not set the tone well for like how colonialism destroyed people's lives. I was like, oh no.
Wait, what do you mean set the tone well?
The whole thing. What do you mean?
It did.
This did?
Colonialism.
It destroyed people's lives. No, but this scene did not.
Didn't convey that.
No.
Okay.
It was just sort of like, this is a cool guy doing cool things. Oh. You're like, oh no. Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
So the thing about this guy is he's like, you know that scene, again, you probably don't know this scene, but in Indiana Jones, when there's this really, it's a classic, like, the guy's got a sword and he's like, you're gonna fight me, and Indiana Jones just gets his gun and goes poof, and gets the guy. He's like, I'm not gonna deal with this, right? And everyone's like, ooh, what a smooth move, ha 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 ha. This is, it was because they were all attacking him. It was a whole thing. Anyways, okay. So, but in this case, his go-to move is the gun. Quartermain's go-to move, he just whips it out at the weirdest times and is like, I'm gonna try and shoot that thing. Like, at one point, someone, like, presses a button and it causes, like, the bridge to collapse or open up or something, and he and his girlfriend, his fiance, are dangling from this rope, and he's like, press the button back to put the bridge back, and they're like, oh no, what's gonna... And he's like, they can't reach it, so he gets his gun, and he shoots at the, like...
Seriously?
Rock, and pushes it back in.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So his go-to move is the gun in every situation. Also, in the marketplace randomly at the beginning, he got this mithril shirt.
What? Is it like actually...
It's not actually mithril, but it's like this indestructible, like, chainmail shirt, which seems a little OP if you ask me.
It is like D&D.
It is like D&D.
You pick up your gear.
Seriously.
Wow.
You get your quest, you pick up your gear,
go-to
and
move.
you go. Yeah. It is very strange.
And if you, like, roll a 20, it works.
It works. He always rolls a 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets the team, they go off on this adventure. There's this really funny line where the girl is, like, looking at this rocks, and she's like, these stones are 3,000 miles from home.
What?
Because they're, like, don't belong here. They were trekked 3,000 miles.
Not her home.
Yeah, not her home. It should be added that, like, there's no explanation for, like, why everything is combined except for the one that I gave you. I came up with that explanation for why, like, the culture is so diverse with ancient things. It's very unexplained. Yeah, there's that awful scene, and then, yeah, so he uses the mithril chainmail shirt that he has to convince people that, well, he accidentally uses it several times to convince people that he's, like, a devil or something, and so they leave him alone. Well, like, he gets hit in the chest and he doesn't die, and they're like, oh, he's, yeah. It's, it could happen, maybe not. And then they go down, there's, like, this underground river they go down at some point, and the water's really hot because they're entering, quote, the devil's heart. And, like, there's literally fire coming out of the water at some point.
What?
Yeah, and it's terrible. And this is, again, choice gun use. Uses a gun to shoot a ginormous chunk of rock onto the fire to put it out in the water. He has to shoot it like 5 or 6 times.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. So they're on this quest to find the lost city of gold. And now we're getting to major spoilers because...
Totally forgot about that.
I know. I didn't really mention it. This is what they're going for, the lost city of gold.
Wait, what happened to his brother?
Oh, they haven't found him yet.
Okay, hang on.
Yes.
So, does he not want to get married?
He does, but he has to find his brother first.
So, instead of finding his brother, he's looking for the lost city of gold.
Well, because he thinks his brother is with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That bit. That was the bit I needed.
All connected. It should be noted that while they're in these, like, underground caves with the water, there's this lion that just shows up and bounds at them, and he has to shoot it again.
Oh, great.
But they're like, they hear this sound in the caves, and they're like, what could it be? And then this just lion shows up. It's a real lion. They filmed a real lion.
Of course.
There's so many cave lions, Ruth. Didn't you know?
I don't know. Maybe there are.
Also, it was at this point in the movie when the girl, I just was so tired of her screaming. She just screamed every reaction, everything made her scream. Everything, Ruth. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was like, wow. And it was actually right when I noticed that she just stopped having most dialogue at all.
Oh.
Like her dialogue fell off. The screams just disappeared. It was weird. So they come out of this cave into this like idyllic waterfall, and then they see the lost city of gold. And Ruth, I've never been more disappointed. Most of the city, major spoilers, is entirely white. It's like whitewashed walls, and there's like gold like rims and like a gold dome.
Okay.
And I'm like,
they're going for realism.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention the worst part.
What do you mean, the worst part? Worse how?
Well, an aspect of them finding this lost city of gold, an aspect of the like legend, is that in the city there was this lost white race.
What the heck?
So they're gonna find these white people in the middle of Africa that have been lost.
I mean...
So, it turns out it's a biracial city, though, when you get there. And there are white people and black people.
What? This is so confusing.
It's just really weird.
Are they trying to say something?
I don't know, Ruth. I just felt like it was so wrong. And I just was like, this is not right. Ugh. They could have, like, there were these 2 women in charge of the city, and they could have had, like, some, black women as, like, in charge of the city, and it's 2 white ladies. And you're like, women empowerment, but why? We're in Africa. You could do something interesting and...
I mean, that was the thing in North Africa.
You think?
People were whiter there. It was less weird. I was learning. This is my history class.
History class is coming to tell you
they
things.
were less alarmed by visitors from Europe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
The ones down south, though.
Oh, I mean the Mediterranean's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they have to kill another lion when they get to the city because it's about to eat a boy.
What?
Yep. And but it turns out the priest of the city is like, sacrilege! You've killed the sacred beast. But this is after they find out that, in fact, Quartermain's brother is in the city, and he's like, I'm fine, bro. I just love these people. And he's like, cool.
Awkward.
Yeah. And also, like, all of the people who went with his brother are dead. They found their dead bodies.
What?
They find their dead bodies along the way, and his brother's like, yeah, it's totally chill, man. And, like, his friend
What happened?
ran all the way back. It's just very weird. And, yeah.
So it's like a false alarm?
Yeah. Kinda. Well, okay, so the priest turns out to be a corrupt guy, and so they have to figure out what to do with him.
Feed him to the lions.
Well, they're about to throw someone into this. They have this like thing on the floor that opens up in a circle, and they're like, "Oh, because you've done something wrong, we're gonna have to, like, punish, one of you's gonna have to go in and but the circle opens, and underneath there's this, like, orange, like, goo, or not goo, it's definitely more liquidy. And you're like, that's so interesting. What's going on? And someone falls in, and you're like, so weird. But you find out later that's what turns the stuff gold. And the wacko priest dips people in it and turns them gold. But it also, like, emaciates them. So there's, like, these borderline, like, skeletal gold things just hanging around in this chamber. And you're like, that's not cool.
Whoa.
His shirt comes in handy again. The mithril comes back, and of course they're like, "Ooh, he's a god," and it's like a thing. And then,
this really does sound like a D&D game.
Yeah, like, but at the end it's like
a bad player.
You're like trying to. At the end, they're like they have to defeat this priest and these ladies, and there's a straight up Helm's Deep situation that goes on, okay? Like, an army gets amassed and charges the city.
What?
And they have to defend it. I don't know! This is the thing. It was maybe it was a line I missed or something, but, like, all of a sudden, the priest decides to attack his own city with the Quartermain and his people in it. And all the natives, and they have to, the natives of the city, the people who are living in the city have to use, like, pitchforks and shovels, because they're, like, a peace-abiding people, to fight off these people who are attacking their city. And they get this great idea. They start turning, like, they start having, like, gold bricks and turning, like, rocks into gold, and then dropping them on the people who are trying to get in, because it's like, they're like, yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. And then Quartermain has this great plan, and he makes mithril shirts, like equivalent ones for, like, multiple people, but out of gold. So it's like these shirts that have the same power as the other ones. The one that he got was silver, okay? That's why it was like mithril. But he finds this shirt that's gold in the, like, stash of things, and he's like, oh, I have an idea. And so then he makes more for his buddies, and you figure this out, like, in the battle, they get stabbed, and they're like, ha ha ha, I didn't die, and you're like, yeah. Also, and when he's in the city, there's this moment where someone's trying to, like, challenge him for the, for, like, you know, they're like, who are you, really powerful? And he just, like, casually pulls out of his shirt this, like, stick of dynamite.
What?
That so, like, the one guy's like, I can break a rock with my head, and he's like, what can you break? And the Quartermain's like, can you break this bench? And he's like, I'm gonna try, and he tries, and he's like, oh, my head hurts, and then Quartermain's like, okay, and so he goes over, and he's, like, surreptitiously just slips this stick of dynamite that was in his shirt the whole time, and blows up this bench, and you're like, that's weird. How could it be there? He was stabbed in the chest several times, okay? But not really stabbed in the chest, just a little stabbed in the chest, because it didn't puncture because of the mithril. Yeah. It's, yeah.
Where does it end?
It does. They defeat the bad guys. It's great. There's some light. Okay, there's this thing where he has to use the hammer of his buddy to, I don't know what's happening. He just hits the top of the dome that has the gold on it, and maybe it conducts lightning, maybe it doesn't. Whatever happens, the dome starts melting the gold, and it starts, like, acting like a shield against the melting gold, and the good guys are on the inside of the gold, and then it comes down, and it's like, ooh, it's really cool. And then inside, there's a whole little battle that has to happen, and the evil sister gets thrown in, and oh yeah, it's crazy. And the end. It's just like, all this has just happened, and they're gathering around, and everybody's happy, and Quartermain is like, I've been, he says, I've got a feeling that it's time for something else. And his girlfriend looks at him and says, some other great adventure? That's where it ends.
That's it?
Yeah. There's no wedding,
So she has the last line.
I think so. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Weird.
Yeah, and they're just in the heart of Africa, in this city.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
Heart of Africa.
Is it the heart?
Heart of West Africa?
Yes. Yeah, so it's very strange. It's yeah. Questions, concerns, comments, sister?
Boy, do I have concerns.
Yeah, we should all be a little concerned, I think. Well, yeah, it's like I said. Maybe this one can. But now you know.
Yeah, now I know.
Now you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can make an informed decision. Anyway.
I'll opt not to watch that one, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Well, this has been Lost in Theaters. Now you're a little less lost in theaters, hopefully.
So is this.
Yes, this movie is.
Yeah.
Been drudged up. Yeah.
Maybe it should have stayed there.
Oh, sister. It's good to die. You have to know history, Ruth, so that you don't repeat it.
Yeah.
Classic.
Do we want to include this in our history books?
Don't, Ruth.
I feel like we have other...
You're overanalyzing. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening.
Yes.
And we'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
Bye.